There we go, a lovely performance by Dr. Tanya Ekanayaka at London St. Martin in the Fields. And Tanya, I hear that you've been invited to perform once again at the same venue. I
have, yes, I'm very excited about that. So just a few days before I flew to Sri Lanka in July, one of the concert managers at St. Martin in the Fields got in touch and asked me if I would come back and give another solo recital. So that's scheduled for the 13th of November. So yes.
Do you have any performances in Sri Lanka that you're doing?
Yes, I'm playing. I'm performing as a soloist with the Symphony Orchestra of Sri Lanka on the 10th of November. I play a Beethoven piano concerto, and there's a Japanese guest conductor who's been flown in to conduct the orchestra. So I'm really excited about that. It's going to be tight because I've got to then fly back to London soon after that recital. I have literally 24 hours to recuperate before playing at St. Martin in the Fields.
Okay, but Sam, we're not done with Tanya as yet. We will have more interesting facts about Tanya when we come back, but right about now we're going to take a short commercial break. You're watching Good Morning Sri Lanka. Welcome back once again. You're watching Good Morning Sri Lanka on MTV Sports. We were just having a chat with Dr. Tanya Ekanayaka, one of the most qualified musicians in Sri Lanka at the moment and a very skillful pianist. And we were talking a bit about her performances and her future performances and plans, but let's just go right back to the roots and let's ask her a bit about your childhood, Tanya, in Sri Lanka, and your travels and also your life in the UK. How do you see it? You know, what were the experiences that have really inspired most of your work?
Well, I think, if I go back to my compositions, clearly it has a lot, if anything, everything to do with my roots, where I grew up, the musical influences in my life very early, from an early age. My father's an amateur violinist and my mom's a piano teacher, and they used to play together every evening, and there used to be music in the house all the time, loud music. And when I was born, my mother was, I think, preparing for a diploma exam, so she placed me on a mat next to the piano, and she used to practice away, and I had to fall asleep at night with loud music in the house. There was no, turning down the volume to enable me to sleep. And of course, I went to school in Kandy, which is where I grew up actually, because my father was working in the university there in the dental faculty for many years. And so there I had the opportunity to come across all kinds of music, kaviyas. I used to sing, I used to take part in the traditional kavi competitions. Not sure how good I was. I think I used to sing a little too loud. But anyway, and then the choir. So it's all of that's fed in to who I am now. And of course, my background as a linguist is also a huge influence on my compositions, as strange as it may seem, because we speak many languages in these countries, don't we? And so there's a sort of parallel, if you look at the linguistic influence in our lives, and similarly the musical influence in our lives. Yeah. And the way in which I approach the issue of language generally has influenced the way I look at music in our lives, the influences coming together, and how do we come to terms with this. So in that sense, my compositions also draw on that. So I don't know if I've kind of digressed from your question about my childhood, but I think those influences are the roots, are very much present in my music now. Yeah.
Doctor, talking about your influences, if you could just briefly touch on your thesis, because you just mentioned language and music and how both of them influence you, and I believe your doctorate thesis was also about the two of them, so if you could just tell us briefly about that as well.
Briefly about my doctoral thesis, right. I get quite passionate about that, so I'll have to be brief. Yes, I looked at language mixing. So people mix languages all the time in Sri Lanka. This is what we do. We were doing this just before the interview started. We're not doing it right now. And you find this a lot in music. And I wanted to see whether, as a community, when people listen to this sort of music which has different languages in it,